Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. We have a very productive session prepared for you. This is Lucio Daza. I direct technical marketing here in AtScale, and I have with me Dennis Dubois, our Director of Product Management. Hello, Dennis. Thank you for being here with us today.
Hey, thanks, Lucio. Thanks for inviting me.
Before we start, I would like to share some housekeeping items with you. First, I want you to know that your questions are very important to us. So as we go through this presentation, do not hesitate to post them on the webinar panel. We also look forward to address these questions during the Q&A session that we will have at the end of this power session. Also, this webinar will be recorded. You can watch it on demand anytime after this presentation. Just visit our resources page on atscale.com, where you will be able to find this webinar as well as other educational assets to learn more about the integration of AtScale and Google BigQuery. And last but not least, I want to remind you that before you try what you're about to see on this demo in this session, please go and visit us and request the license that you will need to run AtScale on. So why are we here today? Well, basically, we want to show you how you can make your BI work on big data using AtScale and Google BigQuery. And you might be wondering why Google BigQuery. So we want to give you the option or you might have chosen Google BigQuery to scale out your data processing for big data. So if you have your data already in the cloud, you want to make sure that you have interactive query response time for analysts. You want the responses to come quickly. If you're building a dashboard, you want the dashboard to be live, and you don't want to wait hours or days for that information to come to you and then be outdated by the time that it gets to your hands. Also, we want to make sure that we provide support for robust multidimensional analysis. And what I mean by that is, say, the insurance industry, you have per member per month multidimensional analysis. Also, you have non-additive metrics analysis on sales or retail and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure that you analyze the data appropriately so you can gain insights and value from it. And also, we offer an open interface for any BI front end. And what I mean by that is that many companies right now, they're using several BI tools. They're using Excel, Power BI, or Tableau, and many other tools. And each one of them might require as a semantic layer for them to connect to your data sources. So what happens with AtScale is you have one single semantic layer, and you can rest assured that the information and the results that you're gaining from each one of these tools is going to be the same, so you can spend more time analyzing the data rather than doing a reconciliation of values or results from each one of these reports that you're generating, trying to figure out which one is the correct one. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at how we integrate, or how AtScale integrates with Google BigQuery. What you see here is an architecture diagram where at the top banner, what you're seeing is the BI tools that you might be working with in your organization. Also at the bottom, we have the Google Cloud Platform. For this demo, we will be working with Google BigQuery. That's where the data is going to be residing. And AtScale will provide the connectivity between these two elements, between your BI tool and where your data is located. So we also will provide best-in-class modeling experience. You will be able to create a virtual cube in here, publish it, and then start querying that data on your BI tool of choice. So this is great, but I know the audience might be very excited and want to see the magic happen. So, Dennis, how about we jump right into the demo?
Sure, thanks, Lucio. Let me share my screen here. All right. All right, can you see my screen?
We can see it loud and clear.
All right. Well, thanks again, Lucio. That was a great introduction. And again, so this is what we're going to do here in this demo is we're going to demonstrate how we can provision at scale fairly rapidly on the Google Cloud Platform using Launcher. And once the at scale intelligent platform is provisioned, we're going to connect the at scale instance to a BigQuery instance. And we're going to load some sample data that at scale can provide, just to get you up the ground rapidly. And then we're going to then go through a Tableau workbook so that we can actually query that data live. So let's get started. For some of you that are familiar with the Google Cloud Platform, I'm in the Launcher UI at this point, and just by typing at scale here, we'll bring our at scale listing offer. So from here, you can see that we actually can launch using this button right here, but the actual information is to your left. There's a fair amount of overview information. You also can learn more about at scale using a couple of the hyperlinks. This is a bring your own license offer, so you have to be reminded that you have to actually request a license. So this is the actual license. This is the URL where you can actually request a license. So again, without a license, you'll be able to provision, but as soon as you're going to go through and try to access at scale, it'll require a license key. So there's also additional tutorial available by following these links. There's a great getting started guide. We also have an LMS system, an online learning management system, and there's additional information on our at scale website. And not to leave support behind, there's also all of our maintenance, and support contact information as well, and then you can follow this link to learn more about it. So, having said that, let's just go and launch our instance. So this is the provisioning process at this point, and it's going to bring you up with actually a deployment name. So for this case, I'm going to use our at scale GCP demo. And it's really important for the participants to understand that it's really important that you actually have to have a project in which you have permissions to actually deploy resources. So I'm going to select a region. The maintenance, the machine type should be sufficient here, and the disk size as well. One thing to notice is these are all the ports that we're opening from 10.500 to a range of 10.518, and then from 11111 to 119. So again, this is the information of the cost per month at this point based on this instance type. There's additional details. You can follow the link for this, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to click on deploy. So while this is being deployed, you can see that that we have our status right here on the left, and as it's progressing, you will see on the right-hand side the site address. The admin user is the default user for the instance, and there will be a temporary admin password that will be auto-generated that you will need to use to log on to the admin console. Additionally, there's again the very important information here. Our getting started guide is right here, our LMS, and why at scale. So these are important links again to remember that you can browse while the provisioning is actually proceeding. So you can see that now we have an IP, and it's pointing us to the port 10500, which is the port that at scale listens on. So this is the admin user ID again. This is the password you'll need. But I also want to bring your attention here that you can actually SSH into this machine by using this icon right here. And again, the suggested next step here, really important that you need to have a license. So again, this is really important. This is a bring your own license. It also reminds you to change the password, and we will go through this process as well once we launch at scale. And then you can assign a static IP address if you decide so. Right. And again, support information is at the end. So at this point, we have all of our firewall rules, And I just want to show you here real quick that there is an actually getting started guide link, which is also going to walk you through this. What we're doing today is we're doing the provisioning and the environment setup, and we're also going to load the data and publish this. And again, the request your license is available at this point. All right, having said that, let me go back to the deployment manager. So, and now let me launch this guy. I'm going to go over here. I should have cut and pasted the password, which I'll need to log on. A little delay with the instance. So while we're waiting for the instance to come up, and this is just a little delay, but just to show you that we actually have an instance here running. So let me just give it a couple minutes. Okay. So we seem to have a little challenge. All right, so let me just jump here. Let me see if I can actually. All right. So again, sorry for the delay. There was must have been some network activity here. So I'm just going to log on with my admin password. And this is the actual temporary password that was provided from the deployment manager. So the first thing that you get prompted with is, as at-scale launches, it needs that license. And again, you have the opportunity by this time to request this license key. It's in the numerous places on the offer. And again, if you don't have your license key, there's also a link on our very first page, which will bring you to the request license key URL, whereby you can actually make that request. So let me just go and upload that license for now. So the new license is successfully updated. And again, so this password for the admin user was assigned by the deployment manager. This is a temporary password, so we highly suggest that you go and change that password. I'm going to go in here and change that password. And you can actually show the password to make sure that it's identical. So I'm just going to go next. So the next thing that you need to do is we need to define a data warehouse type. So we support numerous different platforms, BigQuery being one of them, but we also support Redshift and all of the Hadoop distribution as well. And there's numerous other platforms that are in the process as well of being supported. But for today's session, so we're going to go to BigQuery. So to get started, we like to identify the warehouse uniquely. And as you can see, it's kind of grayed out here, but I'm going to go with a BigQuery data warehouse. So you can be as verbose as you want, or you can be very short and sweet. So I'm just going to keep BigQuery here. So this is a schema where that schema needs to exist on your BigQuery project, and this is where the aggregates are going to be stored. So in the case of Google BigQuery, and you need a fair amount of credentials to understand on how to connect to BigQuery. So we've actually facilitated this by you can actually upload your JSON credentials. Those credentials are actually being generated from the GCP console. When you go to your project and you go to your identity access management function, there's a way to generate your JSON file that you need here to load. So if you're an administrator, you're most likely familiar with this. The Getting Started Guide actually provides you the step-by-step instruction on how to do that. So I'm just going to go and upload this. And that JSON file is project specific, by the way, as well. So the Google Cloud bucket name is an important concept here. whereby because we're going to load sample data, we need a location to go and extract that data, store it on the bucket name, so before we can actually load it into your BigQuery environment. All right. So now that I have this, I can go to next. So it's as simple as uploading the JSON file for the project, which contains all the credentials that are necessary to connect to the environment. And now I'm actually going to create an environment, and I'm going to call it BigQuery. My data warehouse is BigQuery, and I'm going to use port 11114 moving forward. So now I've established my BigQuery connection, and what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to go and load some sample data. So there's a couple of different ways you can start modeling with AtScale. You can start from scratch, so you're going to have a blank canvas where you can connect to your BigQuery environment and start pulling the data sets that are required and the dimensions and produce all the measures. You can also explore our sample data set, which is right here. So we have a numbers of different data sets that are available. So we have 3 sample applications today. So you can go ahead and download any different types of one of those 3 actually different data sets. Those data sets contains not only the data, it also contains the actual virtual cube that is also necessary to get you up to get started. So I've already downloaded this, so I'm going to go to my BigQuery environment. My schema is I know is AtScale, and I'm actually just going to go and upload this file. So this is the sales insight that I just selected. And what's going to happen at this point is the next steps is we're going to start uploading this file, which at this point is extracting all this content, which is a set of DDL statement, the corresponding data files, and also the metadata about the virtual cube. So while this is loading, Lucio, I'm just going to pass this back to you so that you can actually move forward with our first poll question.
Thank you, Dennis. So as Dennis mentioned a second ago, we have a poll for you, and we want to capture the following data point. How much of your data is on the cloud today? The options you're going to have is none of the data, 0%, all the way to 100%. So this is important to know because we made some predictions at the beginning of the year of how most of the industries were going, by noticing the benefits of moving to cloud technologies, we're going to actually start making the move. I mean, you have elasticity, you have cost, increased security, also rapid feature delivery. So we want to know from you today how much of your data is on the cloud. Is it you don't have any of the data on the cloud? Only a quarter of your data, 75%, or your entire data set is already up there. So we're gonna continue rolling the poll for a few more seconds and see if we can get more answers. So then again, this is a great is an interesting point. We have some balance. It looks like 50% of the audience, or some of the audience have 50% of their data already on the cloud. We've seen some use cases where there is a hybrid situation going on, where some of the data remain on premises, and while the rest of the data is being migrated to the cloud, and to eventually do a full complete migration, so the customers can start taking advantage of these powerful technologies. So, well, I think we are good with the poll. So we have at this point 33% of the audience is a quarter of their data or so is on the cloud, while 66% has at least 50% of their data already residing on the cloud, which I personally would call this a hybrid environment. You have stuff on premises and on the cloud as well. So with this, Dennis, how are we doing in the demo? Are we ready to continue?
Yeah, we're progressing. We're almost there. So let's
all right.
All right, so we're almost done. So we're 2/3 of the way. And again, as I was stating earlier, the file that you download contains not only the data, but the entire schema definition, as well as the project XML. And again, at-scale is really just a metadata content where your inbound queries are matched against the actual metadata of the virtual cube. So let's move forward. So it's finished. So the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to guide you to the next steps, which is to you can actually set the permissions at this point, and there's also additional ways to set the level of permission. But for now, I'm just going to go through this, and I get a sales demo. I'm going to actually select the cube that I want. So I'm going to select the internet sales cube. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring us into the canvas, and we have a preloaded environment that's fully functional with the data that's loaded on your BigQuery engine at this point. So this is the environment. If you recall, I set up the environment called BigQuery. It's successfully connected. So let me just arrange the visual a little bit better. There we go. So here we have our data set with the actual dimensions and our role playing. So if I go on the canvas here and I view my raw data, at this point, this is a live query. I'm querying the data directly on our BigQuery instance. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to publish this model. And again, this is the target environment that I have set up. And I will go ahead and publish my model. So having done that, so I have these two cubes, and I can either download a Tableau TDS, which is one of the embedded component that we have as part of at-scale. There's also a way for us to connect to Excel, or if you have a straight ODBC or SQL connector here, the information is right here. So let me go back. I am actually going to just go download that Tableau TDS, and I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to save my sales cube. So at this point, what I have is I have a TDS that I can actually bring up. And this is my admin account with the password that I just recently changed. So at this point, I'm connecting to at-scale. At-scale is connected directly to my sales demo. You can see this is my sales demo cube, and I can actually go ahead and just start writing some queries. So I'm going to do a quick workbook here. So sales amount. I'm actually going to go by occupation. Well, actually, let's go through the actual countries. So these are live queries, and I will actually go by. See, I'm going to drag occupation as well. Or actually, let me just go by gender, actually. All right. So in less than 15 minutes, I actually was able to provision at-scale on GCP. I was able to connect to my BigQuery instance, as well as downloading a Tableau connector, a Tableau TDS, and then actually just build a quick query using Tableau. So now I can go back to my actual instance over here, and this is my BigQuery data warehouse. And all right, let me just go here. All right, so now I'm going to go see the queries. So this is an at scale. So in at scale itself, I can see that I've actually produced these queries, and this is the latest query that I ran. So as you can see, at scale presented the actual cube as a single flat table to the BI tool, to Tableau. However, this data produced an outbound query whereby at scale interpret the inbound query based on the actual schema itself. And you can see that we've reformatted the outbound query, as well as we've actually accessed an aggregate table that was previously generated from the very first query that was executed when we looked at the orders and the sales amount. So there's a lot of good information here from this screen here, where you can actually the inbounds and outbounds, as well as the aggregation tables that have been generated. So this concludes the demo here, where again, like in summary, all the data was loaded, provision, loaded, connected, and run a query, and this was all concluded in less than 15 to 20 minutes using the launcher. All right.
Excellent. So go ahead, Dennis. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. So I was just saying, do you have actually another poll question for the audience this year?
I do, yes. Before we jump into the Q&A session, I would like to capture an extra data point, and in this case, what I want to know from the audience is what key capabilities are driving you or drove you to the cloud, in case you are a 100% cloud customer. So the options that you have is cost, elasticity, security, and rapid feature delivery. And what each one of these means is like we know many customers are when we understand the benefits of the cloud, we understand that many of them want to take advantage of how economical could be or how cost manageable could be to handle data on the cloud. On premises, you have to go ahead and plan with your entire team how much data do you think we're going to be using for the first, second, or third quarter of the year, and then plan for management of hardware, and also hire the team that is going to take care of all that hardware, and in addition to all the many things that you have to go ahead and configure beforehand. When you move to the cloud, you have the benefit of you spend what you need, or you pay for what you're going to use. In the case of Google BigQuery, you have the cost related to the queries that you're running, and AtScale helps reducing the amount of queries that you're going to be hitting your platform with. In that way, it makes it very, very cost effective. Elasticity as well is another issue, where you use what you need. If you're on premises, if you have all this hardware, you might have done a huge investment on a bunch of equipment that you don't have or that you don't need, or you might fall short if the plan does not go accordingly. And then you have security as well, and rapid feature delivery. As you saw in the demo just now, it took only 15 minutes to go from raw data and not having an at-scale instance to being able to access your data using Tableau, in this case through at-scale on Google BigQuery. And also having the at-scale instance on the Google Cloud Platform. So we have the results. We have it looks like elasticity is what we look or what our customers and our audience is paying more attention to, and rather than rapid feature delivery. But then again, there is no right or wrong answer here. Elasticity is great, as I mentioned before. You use what you need, and in that way there is cost and savings related to that as well. So I am going to stop the voting, and let's go ahead and move to the Q&A session and the next steps. And what you think of your questions, and post them on the presenting or the webinar platform. I want to invite our audience to visit our blogs at blog.atscale.com. We have great amount of awesome articles written by the at-scale team. There is a bunch of good technical information that you can find in there. Also, if you want to learn more about at-scale and Google BigQuery, please visit our landing page, and is listed here in this slide, as well as the resources. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, you will be able to see this recording and many others that we have done. There is a lot of educational resources in there that you can download, white papers, webinars, and so on and so forth, that will allow you to understand much better our technology and how we can help you. And of course, there is as Dennis showed in demo, there is a getting started guide which contains all the steps that we just went through in this demo. And if you want to follow through, it's very simple, it's very easy. It also has videos if you are the kind of person that you want to follow a video to follow the steps to do your own deployment. And don't forget to visit us and request your license before you apply what you learned today in this session. So one of the questions that I would like to ask Dennis, and I think this is something that you addressed earlier, but I would like to make emphasis on it. When we move, or when we create the TDS file, in this case for the demo we were using Tableau, is there any data that is being replicated or any data that is being moved from one place to another before we start analyzing the data with the BI tool?
Good question, Lucio. So the data resides on the platform, and as the inbound queries are assessed by at-scale, we will go based on that pattern, possibly go create aggregate tables on your behalf based on that pattern. Those aggregate tables are also pushed to the backend platform, in this case BigQuery. So the data is live on the platform, pushed down. It's a push-down optimization, so that that aggregation table to support that inbound query will also be stored on BigQuery. So to answer your question, that there's no data itself stored on at-scale. At-scale only contains the metadata, the relationship of the virtual cube that also is representing the base data that sits on BigQuery. So at the end of the day, all the queries are coming inbound to at-scale. That data, if there's a supported aggregation table that's necessary, or we deem necessary to provide better performance for that query, then we will go off and create that aggregation table directly on BigQuery at runtime. And
all data stays where it resides, which is what I find fascinating. I've heard from many customers that they talk about the normal use case where you want to create a visualization, and you have to first, or they have to first request data to be moved from their data lake into a smaller data set, so they can go ahead and query using their BI tool to what look an acceptable time. So in this case, as Dennis showed earlier, it took only 15 minutes to deploy at-scale on the cloud and start analyzing the data, and all this data resides on the cloud platform. So, right, so we are running out of time. I want to thank all our audience for being here with us, and for your participation. Thank you, Dennis, so much for your great demo. It was a wonderful delivery. So visit us at atscale.com if you want to learn more from us, and stay tuned. We have more material coming, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance and participation, and we will talk soon. Have a good day.